Starting first grade, September 1939. I am starting the first grade, and I feel like I am in a cloud. I can't picture what is to happen. I just do what my mother says. She tells me I will be gone from home all day. I'll even eat lunch while at school. I don't feel fear, maybe because my next older brother is also going to school, and we have always done everything together. He started last year, and I only need to follow him because he'll be in the same room as I. The school has only 2 classrooms, what they call the little room, grades 1 to 4, and the big room, grades 5 through 8. We will then walk home after school. My mother takes my sister, brother, and me to school in the car today and drops us off. I go inside with them and I'm taken to the classroom. The shiny hardwood floor looks like it has just been polished and smells of Johnson paste wax, a lot like our hardwood floor in the kitchen at home. The first 2 rows of desks on the far side of the room, away from the door, are double wide. 2 kids sit side by side on this seat, and that flips up when you stand and down when you sit. I am assigned a seat in the first row with another boy by this short and robust old nun in her black habit and a black veil trimmed in white with a stiff white collar. She has a white cord around her waist, hanging down with a large knot at the end. Attached to the cord around her waist is a rosary with large beads, the size of my marbles, with a crucifix hanging down beside the white cord. I can hear the light clicking of the beads and chain when she walks. She introduces herself and prints her name on the blackboard. As she turns toward the board, she says, "I am Sister Anita." It is spelled Anita. Sister Anita is kind-looking and soft-spoken. I feel unafraid and a little excited that I may be learning something more. We have recess from 10 o'clock to 10:15. I can go outside to the toilet and get a drink of water at the faucet on the outside wall of the brick school building. There are 4 tin cups sitting in the cement windowsill right beside the faucet. We are then free to run and play until recess is over. We play tag and drop the handkerchief. At 10:15, standing on the porch, Sister rings a large handheld bell, probably 4 inches across. Recess is over. Following the other kids, I line up on the sidewalk outside in front of the school, and when all is quiet, she clicks her thumb-pressed cricket. It goes click-click, which is the signal to walk into school with no more talking. In school, class continues, which is the signal to walk into school with no more talking. I guess I just said that. In school, class continues. At 12 noon, she tells us to stand beside our desk, and she explains which row will go first. Each row is let go one at a time, and I go out into the hallway to get my lunch pail, which was put in a slot in the 2-tiered bench in the morning when I arrived. We process back to our desks where we eat our lunch. In my lunch pail is a sandwich which Mom had made and wrapped in wax paper with the ends folded in, a cookie also wrapped, and an apple. When I am through eating, I can go outside again to the toilet and then play with the other kids until 5 minutes to 1. Across the playground, I hear the bell ringing. I am told I have 5 minutes to use the toilet if I need to, wash my hands, and get a drink from the faucet beside the school. The kids from all 8 grades, probably 40 in number, are milling around waiting for one of the 4 cups. As one person finishes, it is handed back to someone behind them. At 1 o'clock, the bell rings again, and we all line up on the sidewalk. The procession into school is repeated. I've learned the routine for the day. At 3:30, class is over and I clear off my desk by putting paper and pencil on the shelf right under the writing surface of my desk. And then we are dismissed. Outside, the kids are gathering in 4 groups. Those walking in the same direction from school are gathered together. Our neighbors living up the road north and my sister and other brother start walking home in a group. It is 1.5 miles to the gravel road up to home. They are all older than I. The neighbors are in the 7th and 8th grade, my sister in the 4th grade, and my brother in the 2nd. They're all talking very fast and walking at the same pace also. I can't keep up. I'm getting tired. I'm frustrated and hurt that no one cares about me. I feel like I'm being abandoned. I start crying and sobbing. Why can't they just walk so I can keep up? They don't slow down. I finally make it home and go into the house, still teary-eyed. My mother is right there in the kitchen and asks me what is wrong. Why am I crying? I tell her the older kids walk so fast and I can't keep up. She tells me that if I can't keep up, just keep right on walking on my own, at my speed, myself. You know the way. You don't need to cry about it. You just have to do it at your own pace. The most important lesson I learned my first day at school was not learned in school, but at the end of the day, after school was out. If you can't be like everyone else, that's okay. Just do it at your own pace by yourself. Ernie Stremmel. Showbiz. I feel like a young boy looking down the road from our farmhouse, and I see a car heading away, kicking up a cloud of dust large enough to now impede my view of the car. Over the top of the dust and beyond, I see the ribbon of yellow gravel road that lies between the green fields on either side, undulating over the hills and valleys into the distance, where my view fades. I can no longer see. Now I picture myself in the car, leaving home behind and heading off into my own life. On the road ahead, I encounter curves and turns, detours and T-crossroads, bumps and dead ends. My life leads me on a long and treacherous trek. I now have traveled that road and find it interesting, even amazing, the twists and turns life has taken to get me to where I am today. Some phenomenal things happened as I went along the way, some hard to believe at first, but I will give you the facts and then explain. I sang professionally. I sang on stage at Red Rocks Outdoor Theater. I acted on stage. I sang on Broadway. I sang since I was a kid in grade school. The whole school sang mass and hymns of church. I've sung in a choir every church I belonged to. I did not read music, but could follow the up and down notes as I followed along. I'd likely not stay on key if I sang alone. As life went on, I picked up a few more techniques like whole, half, and quarter notes. That helped a lot. A lady a few years older than I grew up in the same little country parish I did and had a wonderful voice, Augusta Klein. When I was about 30, I moved to Oglesby, Illinois, the same town where she ended up. There I sang in the church choir. She directed. Her husband, Tony, was a musician and directed the local city band. Besides other performances, they performed a band concert in the city park each Friday night during the summer. His wife, Augusta, would sing a couple numbers as at a concert, and had a couple other bodies from the choir to take part as well. It was just neighborhood stuff, Oglesby population being about 3,000 to 3,500. I was not very good, but had a strong, steady voice when on key. She knew me quite well and needed new voices. Yes, she asked me and coaxed me. I sang a couple numbers at one of the Friday night concerts. I stepped forward and did it. Lost the key only once when going from the second verse draft to the refrain. The city paid a vocalist $5 when they sang with the band, so I got paid. And as you know, the difference between an amateur and a professional is that the latter gets paid. Since I was paid, I can say I sang professionally. When visiting an old friend of Evelyn's in Denver, she and her husband took us to Red Rocks Outdoor Theater, where we could watch the sunrise over the Red Rocks. We entered at the top and faced east. It was a beautiful and impressive scene. We sat with coffee, pastry, and conversation and watched the progression of the sunrise. Later, I went all the way down the steps to the stage. I turned around, saw the whole theater, and being silly, acted like I was on stage. I decided to sing to our friends. God bless America. I would forever be able to say I sang on stage at Red Rocks Theater, Denver, Colorado. Well, now you get the picture. When I was a radio announcer, the Oglesby Junior Chamber of Commerce put on a comedic stage play to raise funds. Of course, a well-known radio person was a must to help draw a crowd. It was really nothing. 1 week of rehearsal, and since it was a comedy, we just bumbled along. But I did act on stage. I recently was traveling in Council Bluffs with my wife and a friend in the car, so they can verify. Driving down Broadway, I recognized my opportunity, seized the moment, and sang on top of Old Smoky out loud. I sang on Broadway, the amazing twists and turns of life. Bernie Stremlaw. Vacation time, Crown Center. Vacations can be so wonderful when we have a busy life, but as we age, the memory of them is blurred with clouds and rain, and some are blown away with winds of time. A vacation was needed at the time for a break in the whirlwind of the thrust upon us by work and civic activities, and crowded in with responsibilities of parenting 10 children. Shopping for new school clothes, shoes, and supplies, and when school starts, it's every day, all up and ready on time, and with lunches for everybody, arranging carpools to 3 different schools, morning and afternoon, then driving our share of the pooling with preschoolers still at home, fitting in present teacher conferences, overseeing homework, and extra taxi service for after-school activities, as well as individual rides to football, soccer, dance, and play practice. It was a hectic time in our life. Wouldn't a vacation be just what we needed? With my job as superintendent of agencies, I had a company car, and best of all, I could use it for personal needs as well. A simple Chevy or Ford sedan would not do. I talked them into a 10-passenger Ford station wagon. 10 passengers if you had small children, and we had them. In the early 70s, there was completed a high-end shopping mall in Kansas City, the anchor being the Crown Center Hotel. In 1973, my insurance company arranged an awards function for the top salesman that had obtained the level of production that was set for them. All award trips before were for the salesmen themselves, but this was to include the spouse and family. I, as a supervisor, naturally was included with my wife and 10 children. thanks to the 10-passenger station wagon, with kids' clothing packed in paper shopping bags, no fuller than what would fit under the two-side center-facing seats in back, and a car-top carrier, we pulled into the circular drive under the canopy of the Crown Center and stopped by the front door. I try to look back and think what the picture looked like to the doorman and bellboys in their maroon and gold service uniforms, looking like the Philip Morris boy, standing outside the revolving door. The car doors opened and my wife, holding the 2-year-old, steps out of the car, followed by the child that was sitting between us in the front. At the same time, from the other doors emerged the 4 kids from the second seat. I opened the side-swinging tailgate door, and 4 more pile out. A couple of younger ones were carrying their favorite blanket, and one, the 5-year-old, had her never-be-without teddy bear. Opening the car-top carrier, I started pulling out suitcases, hanging bag, and more individual bags and bundles to be taken inside. I am sure we looked like the Clampett family in Beverly Hills, with clothing packed in paper shopping bags and backpacks, blankets flapping in the wind, and the teddy bear. The bellboys never said anything as they helped load it onto carts. We had 2 rooms next to each other. My 2 oldest girls, Cindy and Jody, ages 17 and 16, took the 4 younger girls in one room. The boys were with my wife and I in the other room. The boys are asleep, my wife and I in bed. Lying on my back, I take a deep breath. Peaceful at last. There were some business meetings, luncheons, and dinners. One day the company took everyone to Worlds of Fun amusement park. It was a very big treat for my family. It was a fun day with helium balloons given to the kids. Many got away and floated to the sky. Some were popped, punctured to blow up. We had the 6-year-old girl's balloon tied to her wrist, and it made it safely through the trip to the car all the way back to Crown Center Hotel. I pulled into the circular drive under the canopy and let the family out. They all started to go in through the revolving door, but when Lynn, the 4 and 6-year-old got in, the balloon was trailing behind her, and the arm to which it was tied didn't make it in the door. Safety of the balloon was tantamount. Only her arm got caught in the revolving door, pinching between the door and the outside glass. They did get the door stopped, and thank God it had a soft, flexible edge. No injuries reported. The next day, we scouted out the lower lobby, which leads to the lower level of the connecting Hallmark building. While looking around at some interior window displays, I heard one of my daughters, the older one, yelling, "Dad, Dad, help!" When I turned around, I saw the 4-year-old hanging on the outside of the escalator railing, going up and up. I immediately saw the situation. The triangular plexiglass shield at the top would force her to let go. Quickly rushing over beneath her, I instructed her, "Let go now. I will catch you." Just in time, she did, and I did. Rescue mission successful. No injuries. A totally relaxing vacation. Maybe not, but rejuvenating just the same. The memory of only these incidents remain. All other details of that vacation have blown away with the winds of time. Bernie Stremois. A lesson learned. Time zone. There was a family vacation trip we took to Fort Robinson and Toadstool Park. I had been traveling western Nebraska in my work and came across this entertainment on Front Street in Ogallala during the summertime. It was a show that was put on during summer vacation by college kids who were in drama and voice. I had seen it when I was out there working and thought it was really good. We made reservations to stay in cabins at Fort Robinson for 5 days. I wanted the kids to be able to see Front Street and the show in the saloon. We drove from Omaha and felt we really had to hurry because I was telling the kids of the time change and we will have to set our clock ahead an hour when we get to the Mountain Time Zone, so it would cut down on our time available driving. We arrived at the Ramada Inn and I ran uptown to get the tickets because I wanted to be sure to get them for that night. When I got back with the tickets, my wife had set up a picnic on the grass beside the pool, and we hurriedly ate and got all 10 kids dressed quickly and into the car, rushed to get to the theater on time. We seemed to be the first ones there. We had tickets, so we went straight into the auditorium and were delighted to be in the front row. When we looked around, we still the only ones in the theater. The kids were so excited and chatting about being in the front. There was a bench all the way across the front of the first row for the kids to sit on, and then a hostess or usher came up and asked if we were there for the show, and I said yes, sounding breathless, and we just made it. She asked, "What time do you have?" I said, 7 o'clock, right on the nose. She smiled wryly and answered, "We have 5 o'clock here." What happened was I had set the clock an hour ahead instead of an hour back. Now we had 2 hours until the show. Back to the motel we go. The kids were happy because now they could swim in the pool for an hour. That was a good learning experience about time zones, and guess who had the egg on his face? The kids experienced a dramatic event to help them remember that when entering a new time zone heading west, move your clock back, and when going east, move your clock ahead an hour. West back, east ahead. It actually ended up being a beautiful and educational trip. The next day we drove to Fort Robinson, where we had our cabins rented. One day we drove out to Toadstool Park. The next, we did a day trip to Mount Rushmore up through Needles Pass and the south part of the Black Hills. We had a couple days of activities and fun times around Fort Robinson. Early one morning, my wife drove us boys west to the White River so we could do some fishing. She went back, got the rest of the family, and brought lunch to eat out beside the river. It was a good thing she brought lunch because we caught only 1 trout. But what a beautiful outing it was with the family beside the crystal clear, calmly moving river. It was a vacation which has left us all with many memories and a lesson learned. Bernie Stremlaw.